On October 15, 2021, police responded to a distress call from an apartment complex on Oak Street in Ashland. Upon arrival, officers discovered the lifeless body of 32-year-old Ethan Reed, a well-liked local high school teacher, lying in a pool of blood inside his apartment. The scene was gruesome and deeply unsettling, described by first responders as something that would haunt them for years. Ethan's death was clearly the result of a violent altercation, and early evidence pointed toward a domestic incident. Police immediately identified Olivia Rogan, Ethan's 29-year-old girlfriend of 2 years, as the prime suspect in the case. Olivia was taken into custody at the scene without resistance, sitting next to Ethan's body with the bloody knife still in her hand, staring vacantly. The apartment showed signs of struggle, and neighbors later reported hearing screaming and breaking glass before police arrived. The sudden and brutal nature of the crime, along with Olivia's eerie calmness afterward, sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community. As the investigation began, it became clear this was not a random act of violence, but rather the tragic climax of a deeply disturbed and obsessive relationship. This chilling discovery launched an extensive investigation into psychological unraveling that led to the murder of a respected educator. Olivia Rogan was described by many who knew her as beautiful, artistic, and passionate, but those closer to her noticed troubling signs beneath the surface: emotional volatility, deep insecurities, and a tendency toward obsession. She met Ethan Reed in 2019 at a community art event. Ethan, a respected high school teacher, was charming, well-liked, and known for his calm, nurturing demeanor, qualities that initially drew Olivia in. Their relationship began intensely and passionately, with friends recalling how quickly they became inseparable. However, within months, cracks began to show. Olivia began displaying signs of jealousy and paranoia, often accusing Ethan of flirting with students or co-workers, even without evidence. She reportedly went through Ethan's phone, emails, and social media regularly, seeking signs of infidelity, and often isolated him from his friends. Ethan's friends grew concerned, describing him as becoming withdrawn and anxious, though he rarely spoke ill of Olivia. He told a colleague once, "She's just been through a lot, and I think she needs me." Olivia had a troubled past, including a history of abandonment and childhood trauma, which may have contributed to her extreme fear of being left or betrayed. Despite their issues, Ethan remained committed to the relationship, possibly out of a sense of duty or guilt, or belief that he could help Olivia heal. Their dynamic became increasingly toxic, with frequent arguments, dramatic emotional swings, and what investigators would later call classic signs of emotional abuse. Family and friends saw a once happy couple become trapped in a spiraling cycle of love, manipulation, and fear, leading many to wonder why Ethan stayed as long as he did. This increasingly unstable relationship set the stage for a tragic explosion of violence, as Olivia's possessiveness deepened into a fatal obsession. In late 2021, Liam Parker, a 24-year-old aspiring musician and son of Olivia's next-door neighbor, moved back into his mother's home after dropping out of college and struggling with a failed music career. Liam and Olivia had known each other for years, but their relationship took a new turn when they reconnected during casual chats across the fence and began spending more time together, initially under the guise of shared creativity and music appreciation. At first, the relationship seemed innocent. Liam described Olivia as funny, charming, and surprisingly vulnerable. Olivia, in turn, saw Liam as attentive and exciting, a contrast to Ethan, whose demeanor had become withdrawn and burdened. Within weeks, their conversations turned flirtatious, and by early 2022, Olivia and Liam began a secret affair. Liam later confessed that the thrill of sneaking around, combined with Olivia's intensity, made it irresistible. Olivia confided in Liam about her dissatisfaction with Ethan, portraying herself as trapped in a cold and loveless relationship, even though, in reality, Ethan was still trying to make things work. Neighbors began noticing odd behavior, late-night visits, whispers on porches, and increasing tension between Olivia and Ethan. Ethan reportedly confronted Olivia about her behavior after finding suggestive texts from an unknown number, but Olivia denied the affair, gaslighting him into thinking he was paranoid. Despite Ethan's efforts to salvage their relationship, Olivia grew more distant, yet refused to officially end things, possibly to maintain control or avoid the emotional fallout. Liam later claimed he was deeply manipulated, saying Olivia fed him a version of events where Ethan was abusive, controlling, and dangerous, a story that fueled Liam's resentment and clouded his judgment. This love triangle became increasingly volatile, with Olivia at the center, playing both sides, clinging to Ethan's stability while indulging the passion and danger offered by Liam. Investigators would later describe this phase as the point of no return, where jealousy, secrecy, and deception began morphing into a deadly obsession. As 2022 progressed, the affair between Olivia and Liam intensified, while her marriage to Ethan further deteriorated. Tensions in the household became unbearable. Arguments were frequent, and Ethan reportedly grew suspicious and emotionally drained. Olivia continued feeding false narratives to Liam, claiming Ethan was emotionally abusive, controlling her finances, and even threatening her safety, none of which were corroborated by actual evidence or friends close to the couple. This campaign of manipulation deepened Liam's emotional involvement. He began to view himself not just as Olivia's lover, but as her rescuer, believing he had to save her from a harmful relationship. Meanwhile, Ethan started expressing concerns to close friends and family. He felt something was off and hinted at Olivia hiding something, though he didn't have solid proof of the affair yet. Olivia was now juggling two lives, publicly staying with Ethan, but privately fueling Liam's obsession. She would whisper promises about a future together, saying things like, "We'll be free soon," or "He's in the way." In one chilling text exchange, Olivia reportedly told Liam, "If he were gone, we could be together without hiding. He's the only thing keeping us from being happy." Those words, seemingly impulsive, planted a dangerous seed in Liam's mind. Investigators later described them as a turning point. The moment fantasy began merging with a murderous intention. Olivia began subtly testing Liam's loyalty, gauging how far he would go for her. She hinted at how much better life would be without Ethan, yet stopped short of making a direct request, keeping herself in a morally gray area. Liam, in his increasing desperation, started fantasizing about eliminating Ethan. He later told police that he believed he was doing the right thing by planning to get rid of someone he thought was hurting Olivia. By mid-2022, Liam had started researching methods to carry out an attack. Online search history from his devices revealed disturbing terms like how to make a death look accidental, poison that can't be traced, and how long to inherit life insurance. Despite these clear warning signs, no one close to the situation fully realized how volatile things had become, until it was too late. In the early hours of September 3rd, 2022, the crime that had been brewing in silence for months was finally executed. Olivia told Ethan she was going to visit her sister for the weekend, which created the perfect alibi, and gave Liam the green light. Liam, armed with a kitchen knife and wearing gloves, quietly entered the home through a back door that Olivia had allegedly left unlocked for him. Ethan, who was asleep in the bedroom, was attacked without warning. Liam stabbed him multiple times in what investigators later described as a frenzied and personal attack. The autopsy revealed over 17 stab wounds, mostly to the chest and neck. This level of violence indicated rage and deep emotional motivation. After the killing, Liam staged the scene to make it appear like a home invasion gone wrong. He shattered a window, ransacked a few drawers, and took a few valuables to add credibility to the break-in narrative. He then left the house and texted Olivia, using a code they had previously agreed on. The message read, "It's done. You're free now." Olivia returned the next morning and called 911, sobbing hysterically. She claimed she had just arrived to find her husband dead, the house in disarray, and believed someone had broken in. Police arrived quickly, and at first, the scene seemed to support Olivia's story. However, there were subtle inconsistencies. There were no signs of forced entry from outside. The back door had no damage and showed signs of being opened intentionally. Neighbors did not report hearing any glass breaking during the night. Investigators also found it odd that Olivia seemed emotionally detached once the cameras were off. One officer later remarked, "She flipped from wailing to calm in seconds. It was like watching someone drop an act." Olivia's behavior raised eyebrows further when, just 4 days after Ethan's funeral, she was seen publicly with Liam, laughing at a cafe, holding hands, and acting like a newlywed couple. This public display shocked the community and sparked rumors, which soon prompted police to take a deeper look into her relationship with Liam. What initially seemed like a tragic robbery began to unravel as a cold-blooded murder orchestrated through deceit, obsession, and manipulation. As police dug deeper into Ethan's murder, several inconsistencies and red flags started surfacing that contradicted Olivia's version of events. Surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera showed no one breaking into front or back during the hours Olivia claimed the house was empty, yet Ethan ended up dead. Forensic teams found no signs of forced entry, and the back door, supposedly how the intruder entered, had no damage or tampering, strongly suggesting it had been unlocked from the inside. Olivia's cell phone data and text messages were retrieved. Among them, police uncovered a disturbing exchange with Liam that included coded phrases like, "Freedom is coming soon," a message from Liam saying, "Once he's gone, we can finally live without fear." Investigators also found a search history on Liam's phone that included queries like, "How to make a home invasion look real? How many stab wounds does it take to kill someone? Can a locked phone be traced after murder?" Even more damning was a deleted but recovered video from Liam's phone recorded 2 days before the murder. He filmed himself saying, "This is for you, Olivia. We're going to be free. I'll do anything for you." Phone GPS data placed Liam near Ethan's house the night of the murder, despite Liam claiming he had been at home watching movies. Olivia was confronted with the evidence and initially denied everything, but under pressure, she began to change her story. She claimed Liam acted alone, and she had no idea he would actually go through with it. But prosecutors didn't buy a revised version. They believed she had orchestrated the entire plan, using Liam's obsession to her advantage while pretending to be the grieving widow. On October 12, 2022, both Olivia and Liam were arrested and charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and obstruction of justice. During interrogation, Liam broke down in tears, confessing to stabbing but insisting, "She said it was the only way we could be together. I loved her. I thought I was doing it for us." The case quickly gained national media attention due to the twisted love triangle, the cold-hearted planning, and the manipulation of a teenage boy into becoming a killer. The trial began in early 2023, drawing widespread media coverage due to the shocking nature of the crime: a mother, a teenage lover, and a calculated murder. Prosecutors presented a mountain of evidence: surveillance footage that disproved Olivia's claim of a break-in, phone records, including text messages showing premeditation, search histories on Liam's device that suggested he was planning a murder, the self-recorded video confession from Liam expressing his intent to kill for Olivia. The prosecution portrayed Olivia as a master manipulator who seduced a vulnerable teenager and used him as a pawn to eliminate her husband. Liam's defense attorney attempted to paint him as a naive and impressionable teen, overwhelmed by obsession and manipulated by an older woman he trusted and loved. Olivia's defense tried to shift the blame entirely to Liam, claiming she had no knowledge of his intentions and was as shocked as everyone else when Ethan died. The jury didn't buy it. After 2 weeks of emotional testimony and clear digital evidence, the jury found both Olivia and Liam guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy. During sentencing, the judge emphasized Olivia's abuse of trust, age, and power, stating, "You manipulated a child to commit a heinous act. Your actions were cold, calculated, and driven by selfish desires." Olivia was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Liam, due to being a minor at the time of the crime, was sentenced to 40 years to life, with a possibility of parole after serving at least 35 years. In court, Ethan's family gave tearful victim impact statements, painting a picture of a devoted father and husband whose life was stolen for the sake of lust and fantasy. The case became a cautionary tale about the dangers of manipulation, blurred boundaries, and how unchecked obsession can lead to irreversible tragedy. Following the trial, several true crime documentaries and podcasts picked up the case, framing it as a modern-day example of how infatuation, betrayal, and manipulation can culminate in murder. Ethan's murder left a deep scar on his family and the entire community. He was remembered as a loyal father, hard-working man, and gentle soul. His children were left without both parents. Their father was murdered, and their mother was in prison for orchestrating it. The kids were placed in the custody of Ethan's sister, who described the emotional toll as devastating and confusing for them. Liam's family also suffered, grappled with the shame and pain of what their son had done. Many in the community viewed him as both a criminal and a victim. The town, once quiet and close-knit, was now known for a crime that shocked the nation. Local residents described the case as something that belonged in a movie, not their neighborhood. Schools and churches began hosting forums on adult-student boundaries, emotional grooming, and manipulation to prevent similar tragedies. Ethan's sister started a nonprofit foundation in his memory, aimed at supporting families affected by domestic betrayal and educating teens about healthy relationships. The story became the focus of true crime podcasts, YouTube documentaries, and media coverage, often titled things like The Teen Killer and the Housewife, or Affair That Led to Murder. In the years that followed, both Olivia and Liam filed appeals, but so far, none have succeeded. The case serves as a grim reminder of how unchecked obsession, emotional manipulation, and lust can destroy multiple lives in a single moment. Olivia and Liam were both arrested and charged. Olivia for conspiracy to commit murder and being an accessory, while Liam faced first-degree murder charges. During the trial, prosecutors revealed explicit text messages, call logs, and diary entries that exposed Olivia's manipulative role in fueling Liam's obsession and pushing him toward violence. The defense tried to paint Liam as a misguided teenager manipulated by an older, emotionally abusive woman, but the evidence showed he had premeditated the killing. In court, Olivia showed little remorse, insisting she never wanted Ethan dead, despite overwhelming digital and verbal evidence suggesting otherwise. Liam, at 18, was tried as an adult, and the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Olivia was convicted of manslaughter and conspiracy to commit murder, receiving 25 years in prison. The judge called the case a disturbing example of lust, betrayal, and immorality leading to irreversible consequences. Both families, Ethan's and Liam's, broke down in court during sentencing. There were no winners, only shattered lives. The case sparked national conversations around teacher-student boundaries, grooming, and how emotional manipulation can escalate into criminal behavior. Media outlets and true crime platforms widely covered the story, using titles like The Housewife and The Boy Next Door and Teen Lover Turns Killer. Psychologists weighed in, highlighting how power imbalances and unresolved trauma can create dangerous dynamics, especially when one person is vulnerable and the other is manipulative. Schools and communities implemented stricter policies on adult-teen relationships, especially involving family friends or neighbors. Ethan's death became a cautionary tale, not just about infidelity, but about how fantasy, obsession, and secrecy can snowball into murder. Many who followed the case were shocked by how normal Olivia appeared, a wife, a mother, a community member. Yet behind closed doors, she was manipulating a young man into a deadly fantasy. The tragedy reminded people that evil doesn't always come with a warning sign. Sometimes it hides in charm, familiarity, and forbidden attraction. Ultimately, the case serves as a powerful warning about the ripple effects of poor choices, unchecked desire, and moral failure, and how they can destroy entire families.